Hello and welcome to Baller Sports Dialogue presented by the Sporting Tribune. Very thankful to be here doing our finals preview. Co-hosts Brandon Deutsch and Grant Mona. Gonna get into some conversation about the finals, about Nikola Jokic, about the Lakers offseason. We're gonna hit it all in this one. Let's start off with this finals preview. The Celtics almost completed that comeback. Fell just short. Thankfully, I was so glad America won that day. I know you disagree with that statement, but I love Jimmy Butler. I think what we're going to see is we're going to see Miami be exhausted in Denver in the first couple of games. I just think that's inevitable. They dragged it out, 7-game series. Congrats to them. And I'm not saying this is going to be like a Denver in 4 or 5 like many people are thinking. I think it's a 6-7 game series.
Really?
I do, yeah, even with the exhaustion, because I think Miami's so good at home. And that crowd gets behind them.
Exactly. I think we'll get into.
Well, we'll get into that, and that's going to cause Jokic a ton of problems. The Lakers didn't have enough of those guys to really put on Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. that the Heat do. The Heat have wings that can defend. Eric Spoelstra is possibly the best coach that makes adjustments in the NBA. Not to say Mike Malone isn't talented. He's not as talented as Spoelstra. I think that plays a big difference. I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat win in 7, honestly.
Ooh, wow.
I think the Nuggets win in 7, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat win in 6 or 7. I'm just going to put that out there right now. We can't bet against them. They beat Milwaukee, who we thought was better than Denver. They beat Boston, who a lot of people thought was better than Denver. Obviously, the Knicks were kind of weak, but they actually took 2 games on the Heat. I'm going to say that they're going to be exhausted, lose by 20 probably the first game. Maybe the second game, lose by 10, 20. And I think the narrative is going to shift, give Jokic the ring now. This is a 4-game series. It's going to go back to Miami, and then it's going to be, okay, Jimmy Butler time, 2-1. It finds a way to win. Caleb Martin steps up. Gabe Vincent steps up in Game 4. It's 2-2 going back to Denver in Game 5. That's my prediction.
Shoot. That is something that I haven't heard across a lot of platforms yet, is having Heat in 6 or 7. I think it's possible. I think it's possible too. Look, I said this on the radio, is that Denver is the overwhelming favorite, right? For good reason. They've had a lot of rest. They have an insanely talented offensive team. But I think people forget the Heat defense, not just in the regular season. They were a top 10 defense in the regular season, top 5 defense in the regular season. But in the playoffs, they've stepped up into that zone. Like I was saying before, that zone stifled the Celtics. Now, the Nuggets have a great offense too, right? But the Nuggets have to figure out that zone. That's not going to be easy. This Heat team is not an easy team that we can just say, oh, well, they're going to keel over. It's Nuggets in 5. No, this Heat team is really good. Not just, especially when they get the 3-point shot going, like we saw in Game 7. There was a lot of remarks about, oh, well, we're not hitting shots right now, but we will. We will hit shots. That's what all the Heat players have said, is that when we hit shots, our defense follows up with that.
It's hilarious that they said they're not hitting shots because they made, 60% of their wide open threes. Some crazy like that. Caleb Martin can't miss. It reminds me of Malik Monk on the Lakers last year for a stretch, or maybe Austin Reeves this final stretch where the guy just can't miss.
I know.
Is pretty crazy.
The only two, I think the 2 critical misses were those Duncan Robinson threes where he missed. Both of them were kind of wide open too.
In fact, Miami realistically beat the Celtics in 5 out of 7 games. If you think, if you just take away the tip it, if you just say look, let's box out on that possession.
Right.
But they showed a lot of moxie going into Boston after that choke job on that last possession, and not just beating them, dominating them.
Yeah, it wasn't just a 5-point win.
It wasn't just a 5-point. It was 20 plus. And I think that defense. The Lakers. Darvin Ham's a young coach. He made great adjustments in the Warriors series. I think we all saw that. And when it got to that series against Denver, they couldn't find adjustments for Jokic. I think Spoelstra, with his experience in all of the different teams he's faced that were offensive juggernauts, whether it was the Spurs with Tim Duncan, even though they were more of a defensive juggernaut, they had guys like Duncan who could step up, Parker, Ginobili. If you go back to facing the Lakers in 2020, he made enough adjustments to make that a series when a lot of people thought it was going to be over in 4 or 5 games, right? So I think that zone defense is going to cause, I wouldn't say, obviously, you're never going to shut down Jokic, but I think the key thing is shutting down the other guys, right? Because the Lakers didn't have enough defensive wings that could go out, and sure, Schroeder's great. He's 6'2". He's not going to shut down Jamal Murray, right? Austin Reeves isn't going to shut down
Michael Porter Jr. They had him on Michael Porter Jr.
And by the way, Vanderbilt couldn't play because his offense. So now you have a guy like Caleb Martin who's a lockdown defender and can score, right? You put him on MPJ, what does that do?
Gabe Vincent's an underrated defender
Gabe
too.
Vincent, underrated defender,
like KCP on
Jamal Murray. Is KCP? We keep saying this, and they keep defying the odds. But is KCP, Bruce Brown, going to keep shooting 50% from three, 60% from the floor? I mean, if you think about it, as good as the Nuggets are, they're a six-man team. They have an elite six players.
Their bench was bad.
That's probably all you need to win a championship, because we looked at everyone said, oh, the Suns are the favorites. The Suns had two good players and like two guys that were playing $30+ million that didn't show up. Maybe three if you add in a couple guys that stepped up in big moments. The Nuggets have six. Is that enough to win a championship? I think it is, but it could be barely enough. I don't think people are giving the Heat enough credit who have 8 or 9 guys that can step in, whether if it's Max Strus one night has an off night, Duncan Robinson comes in and shoots threes, right? If it's Gabe Vincent has an off night, they have Haywood coming, Highsmith coming back, right? Who made, by the way, wet jumper. He made a couple of back-to-back shots.
He's a damn good player.
He's going to be out of the rotation if Hero comes back. Now that's another conversation we're going to do. Do you want Hero back because he's a defensive liability against a juggernaut like the Nuggets where you need to play lockdown defense for 48 minutes to win, right? These are all questions I'm thinking like against the Lakers, the Nuggets played perfect basketball. And I don't see them playing that good against Miami this whole series. I think we'll see glimpses of that. But I also think, remember, they've had over a week off. They're not going to be in the same rhythm. They're going to have to bank on Miami being exhausted, which I think they are entering that altitude in Denver in games 1 and 2. And I think if they pull out those 2 wins, they'll have a good shot at winning the series. But if Miami steals one in Denver, this is a whole nother conversation. And I think people are disrespecting the Heat. Their series price is like plus 300, when I think this is almost, now I wouldn't say a pick'em series, but a 60-40 to 65-35% in the Nuggets' favor, in my opinion, because the tenacity that just Miami's got dogs, man.
Yes.
You can't quantify Miami's ability to win and their moxie and how they're never out of it and how they're going to
their dog percentage.
By the way, Bam Adebayo has been terrible offensively, but he is a dog defensively. He will shut people down. Gordon may not even get 10 points in a game this series. If he's going to be on him, because you don't waste him on Jokic. You got to put somebody else. Will we see Omar Yurtseven in this series?
I hope so.
These are all questions we want to get into today. Grant, I'll leave it. What's your big thing? I know you touched on the zone defense.
It's the zone defense, but I think that for Denver, their bench has to step up. We saw in that Lakers series, there's a reason why the Lakers were competitive in every game, is because the Lakers bench was way far superior than the Denver Nuggets. And the Denver Nuggets, if you look on paper, they have an okay bench. It should have been way better in that Western Conference Finals, no doubt about it. But the Heat bench, like you said, they have a bunch of dogs on that bench. And if you bring in Tyler Hero off the bench, which I think they should do, I really think that the Heat should bring Tyler Hero.
He was the sixth man of the year last year, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of conversation. Oh, insert him in the starting lineup, you get more scoring.
He won sixth man of the year as the sixth man.
Bring him off the bench. Don't worry about disrupting the chemistry is a real thing. You can't just insert him back in there. So you have that off the bench. Who's going to match that? I'm not going to say that Tyler Hero is going to get 20 points per game off the bench immediately, but that's the kind of scorer he is. Who on the Heat is going to match that type of production? On the Nuggets is going to match that type of production? You can't have Christian Brown expected to
rookie.
Jeff Green. No.
Well, I think the guy is Peyton Watson, but he's a rookie.
We both love Peyton Watson, but he didn't even get any minutes in that Western Conference Finals.
So he'll be a little shaky. Do you trust a rookie to go out there and guard Tyler Hero?
That's why I'm saying the bench comparison. People aren't talking about this. They're just talking about Jimmy Butler. Miami has the edge, right?
And guess what?
And they're going to need it.
They're used to playing. So is Denver, by the way. I'll give them credit because they had Jokic in that closeout game against the Suns in Phoenix out there for 40 minutes when they were up 30. But Miami, all their guys, their core players play 30+ minutes, of them, right? Jimmy will play 42 every game. He's used to it. They're used to it. Are they used to it in altitude? I mean, they're going to have to get acclimated to it.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. But again, like I said, this is more of a pick'em series than people are giving it. They're 99% the Nuggets win this series. Although I think Denver does win this series, it is going to be really close. It's going to be a great NBA Finals. I truly believe that. I hope we're not wrong and it's a sweep and we're back on here and we're like, geez, what do we know?
Well, we said that. We didn't have a Western Conference Finals or Eastern Conference Finals
thought the Lakers and
but we thought
Nuggets
the Lakers
would go
would be
6 or 7,
6 or
right?
7, and they swept
it could have.
It could have. Right. Every game was close, but I just think that I'm gonna compare this series to the Heat and the Lakers in 2020 because in that series it was kind of the same narrative. Oh, the Lakers are gonna wipe the floor with them, and they kind of did, but the Heat stole 2 games against those Lakers in games that they should not have won. And I feel like it's going to be kind of the same route for the Nuggets and the Heat this time around, because a lot of people in that 2020 series, they said, okay, well, the Lakers, it'll be Lakers in 4, Lakers in 5. I'm sensing that same narrative, and Jimmy Butler in that 2020 series took that personally, right? And I know that they had kind of a completely different team. They had Hero and they had Jay Crowder at the time, but this team I think is a little bit better than that 2020 team, and I'm talking about the Heat. I think that this team is a little bit better than that 2020 team in terms of guys that have upside talent. Like, they didn't have Gabe Vincent. They didn't have
Bam was better then.
Bam was better then, but I'm saying, like, in terms of the others, they have better other. Max Strus wasn't playing in that series.
And by the way, they've succeeded so much without Tyler Hero. There's those reports, which we'll get into, that they want to package him in a deal, perhaps for a D'Angelo Russell, just to get off of his contract. I know that doesn't seem feasible. I know. Tyler Hero's much better than D'Angelo Russell. Well, they need a guard who could score. I know Hero is technically a point guard who can score. Who off the Heat bench is a point guard that can score? Kyle Lowry's washed. He can't do any. By the way, that is, if you play Kyle Lowry more than 30 minutes, you're done. Dunzo. He needs to play less minutes.
He had a good first couple games, but then after that, in the Eastern Conference Finals, he was just
and that's
horrible.
why, by the way, D'Angelo, perhaps you pay him $19 million, you shed $10 million, because then Hero's $27 million. Does he deserve that? And by the way, he's a liability defensively. Russell's is too. Don't get me wrong, but he's a point guard that can score, and I think they've wanted that for a while. That's why they were linked to Russ in the past. Again, Russell doesn't fit the Heat culture, so I remains absolutely probably although he was taking those shots after the game.
Oh my God. He was taking shots after the
he'll be taking
after the Eastern
Game
Conference.
7. after Game 7 of the NBA Finals, he'll show up in Denver, and he'll be, if there's a Game 7, he'll be shooting shots.
What's that brother doing?
I respect it. I actually like him a lot, though.
Go home and have.
I like him because he actually laughed about all the hate he was getting on Twitter, and I respect that.
Don't laugh at it. D'Angelo Russell, why are you laughing at that?
No, I respect that. You can't let that stuff get to you.
Take it to heart and say, all right, you know what, bet.
I'm sure he is, but he's also probably laughing at it.
Oh, my God.
All I know is he's probably not going to be a Laker next year, but we'll get into that. I'm just saying, I think the Heat know from this run that they don't need Tyler Hero to get to the finals, right? Because they got there without him. And by the way, when he was on the team, people forget this Heat team was wildly inconsistent throughout the season. There was a point just over a month ago or 2 months ago that Jimmy Butler was walking off the court in Orlando after a loss in overtime to the Magic. He was fed up. He didn't want to talk to the media. He did, of course, because he's a professional through and through, but he was fed up. They lost to the Hawks in the play-in tournament, and they were 3 minutes away from losing to the Bulls and being eliminated.
It's crazy.
Eliminated, by the way, okay? And this team was in shambles. And what it shows is that if you just keep playing defense and you don't give up, it doesn't matter what seed you are, you can make a run. And I think the underdog mentality, it's real. And I know the Nuggets still think they're the underdog, even though they're not. But I think that's going to play a huge factor, which is why I expect this to be one of the better finals I think we've seen in recent years. And probably one of the more enjoyable for me because I don't have to see
stress-free. I was just going to say it's stress-free.
Well, you don't hate the
us.
Celtics as much as I do because you're a Clippers fan, not a Lakers fan. But seeing my least two favorite teams, actually, I like the Warriors probably a little bit more than the Suns. I hate the Suns more than the Warriors. I think they're like third on my list of teams I dislike. But seeing the first and third, I mean, that was terrible. And I've seen the Warriors win before, and trust me, I enjoy it for the Raptors defeating the Warriors. I was like, awesome. Oh my gosh, finally they lost. Right?
I just like new teams. It's fresh. This is
look,
fresh.
Think about this first championship we're gonna see from a non-Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Steph Curry, Durant, and LeBron-led team.
We said that maybe a month ago or so.
We said chances are they're probably, and it didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
You got either Jimmy getting his first ring or Jokic getting his first ring.
That's pretty cool.
And that's really great for the NBA. As much as people say, oh, it's about ratings, it's about this. I think this is going to be a better series than Celtics Nuggets. And here's why I say that. I feel like the Celtics are very hard to watch sometimes. Like they look dominant, and then and then half of the time it's Tatum going 6 out of 25 and Jaylen Brown going 6 out of 25, and they get blown out. Now I think the Heat are too good defensively to get blown out and too well coached to get blown out like by 30 at home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Celtics, I feel like, Denver could have, once the Celtics get in their head, right?
They could have melted
Miami
down
doesn't get in their head
right,
ever. They were smiling, losing game 3 by like 30. You know,
they had their flight booked to Denver before we.
Game 5. I meant game 5. Or game 4. Game 4. Yeah. That was game 4. And then they did lose by 30 at home, but I just contradicted my point. But you get what I'm saying. They were smiling. They were in a good headspace. I feel like the Celtics are so self-destructive.
I know.
That would have been a worse series. I feel like Denver would have beaten them in 5 or 6. Like, I mean, they were going down a path. First-year head coach doesn't make great adjustments. You know, and by the way, their offense is anemic half the time. They just jack up shots, whether it's Marcus Smart. They don't run an offense. That's why I'll give the Warriors credit. It's beautiful to watch the Warriors play basketball because they set screens. They're constantly moving. They actually play team basketball. The Nuggets do very similar things, which is why I think the Nuggets offensively are a juggernaut. Something important to note, this historically is against Denver. The only team out of the last 15 NBA champions was the Kevin Durant Warriors that didn't have a top 11 defensive rating. Every other team has had a top 11 defensive rating. The Nuggets did not this season. So are they the second best team since the Kevin Durant Warriors, their last championship? Because that's what their level that they're going to have to play at to defy those odds. Because they'll play enough defense, but top 11, that's historically, and the Heat do have that top 11 defense. So if the Heat win the championship, it's 15 of the last 16 NBA champions, right? But can the Nuggets defy the odds? And is their offense so prolific that they're able to be that only non-KD Warriors team to win a championship without a top 11 defensive rating?
Well, I'm thinking, like you said that, I'm thinking of teams that have won it since then. Like, I guess you could say the Warriors last year were a great offensive team too. Like,
but they were so defensively sound.
They
last
were.
year
So like, I was thinking about them.
Court.
Like, they probably have the best case to be like compared to that Warriors team. I mean, the Lakers were great defensively,
but they were. It's hard to watch their offense half the time. It was like LeBron Davis pick and roll, and then Rondo taking over late in the game.
So you're probably right in the sense that this style of basketball that they play, this beautiful ball movement, off ball screens, off the perimeter. You have guys that can score at all 3 levels. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. can score at the 3-point level. Even KCP can. But
Jamal Murray's the definition of a 3-level scorer.
But they can also put it on the floor and get to the rim. Jokic can do it on 3 levels. You have almost everybody except for Aaron Gordon in that starting 5 that can put it on the floor and score from the perimeter. So like, you have a point there. Like, they probably are the best offense we've seen since that Warriors team.
Yeah, and I think they are, which is why I think they will defy the odds and become one of 2 teams in the past 16 years to win a championship without a top 11 defensive rating. I think they're that good to defy that odds. By the way, the Lakers had a top 11 defensive rating. So if it was Lakers Heat, then it would have been guaranteed to be like,
and that's
15
what
out of 16.
I was also going to mention this, like, let's give credit to the Lakers because they had the number 1 defense in the playoffs. You know, we didn't mention this because we didn't mention the conference finals, but I got to give a lot of credit to the Lakers of what they did this year. But the Lakers had the number 1 defense in the playoffs, and the Nuggets swept them.
Yeah,
that is crazy to me. Like, people aren't saying that a lot.
Well,
like,
and that's why people
are saying,
taking.
Oh, they swept them.
Well, that's why people are taking Denver in 4 or 5 against Miami.
But Miami's defense is different from the Lakers.
Miami
defense.
doesn't have soft players.
Right.
I mean, that's not to go at the Lakers, but the Lakers don't have as
right.
The Lakers, they play in LA, it's a different mindset. They don't have as much, there's not a culture like Heat culture.
But the
and that's nothing against
too.
They're going to have to win on stardom, the Lakers.
Yes.
You know, like Reeves turned into a star. Like they have to win on stardom. You know, great shirt, by the way. That is a great shirt. Can we talk about that for a second?
Beverly in the corner.
I mean, in the chain, my God, you could pull off that gold chain.
Yeah.
I cannot pull off gold chains.
Yes,
I have to
you
wear
can.
a silver chain.
No.
Maybe if I'm in Miami, I can pull off a gold chain. Only there. Only
culture. Are we going to Miami?
I mean, I'm kind of down. I like Miami, but okay. Let me get back to the point because Lakers don't have, and that's not against them. They've always won on stardom, never on grit grind.
Right.
They don't play the grit grind system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have defense, and that wins championships. Like, think about every Lakers team that's ever won. I mean, they've had a good defense going back until the Magic days.
That
was all offense.
Yeah,
but I'm saying since then,
they had good defenders,
the Lakers.
You know,
the Lakers. Phil Jackson implemented the triangle. There was a great defense.
Right.
Frank Vogel, great defense. You know, this Darvin Ham team, great defense.
Wow,
that's why they had a chance to win a championship. Next year will be a great defense, and that's what'll keep them and probably win them 50-plus games. But what I will say is the Heat culture is just different.
Yeah.
They just got guys who have moxie. who just step up and just are like, you know what? Like, we could literally be in prison tomorrow and have the same mindset.
Yeah.
Like they don't care. Wake up in a $50 million mansion or wake up in prison, they're the same guy. It's like, I'm dead serious. And I feel like that is why the Heat can beat you in so many ways. They have literally no one on that roster who, well, I don't want to say Tyler Hero, but everyone that's been playing, like, I don't see anybody.
Maybe Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, but he has his role. He understands his role.
Duncan Robinson, shout out to him. He's been
balling.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we said it even during the regular season. Like, he's just not him anymore. Like, he just can't do anything. Yeah. And now he's
one of the worst contracts in the league.
Yeah,
and
we
now
were
is turning into a decent contract.
Good for him, man. Give him his flowers. He's not just a three-point shooter anymore. He's getting to the rim. I think he's 15 of 17
Did
at the rim.
you see his shot creation all of a sudden? Like, Duncan Robinson wasn't doing that a couple of years ago, or the one dribble floater.
Is his contract expiring soon?
No, he has a year or two left.
Okay, well, that's great for Miami then. That's
yes,
awesome.
but they're going to have to.
Same with Caleb Martin.
But also, we can also go into this, but Miami's going to have to go deep in the luxury tax to pay Vincent and Strus, who are both free agents, undrafted. Yeah. They have bird rights, so they can pay him whatever. But because of the new CBA rules, they're going to have to pay an absurd amount in luxury tax. His Bam still make it 32. Jimmy like 45 million. Tyler Hero 27. I think that's why they want to move him for shed 10 million so they can withstand paying Vincent. And Lowry's on the last year of his contract, 28 million, one of the worst contracts in the league. I mean, at the time, it helped him get to an East Finals. He was good last year.
And he was good for a majority of this playoffs too, but.
Not those last two games. His knees gave out.
Yeah,
but he was great in the Knicks series. Actually, I was like, all of a sudden he had new knees.
He was actually pretty good.
Yeah, as you said, he had new knees.
Yeah, he had new
but yes, what I will say about the Lakers is I'm watching Duncan Robinson, and I'm like, why wasn't Cole Swider playing all year? Why wasn't he playing all year? You have a 6'9", unblockable jump shooter, and I know he's a rookie, but you could have given him minutes as the year went on, and what a difference that guy would have made against Denver when you need a guy who can go toe-to-toe
in the bucket.
When you're down 20, like, give me 2 threes, give me 3 threes. Yeah. And he's long, he can guard multiple positions, unlike Malik Beasley. Like, Swider's 6'9", so he's a bit slow, but he can guard the 4 and the 3. Beasley couldn't guard a parked car, whether it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, right? So even though, and he was inconsistent, and you could block his shot, Swider is consistent. And I wanted to see that. I feel like that could have raised the Lakers' ceiling if they had a guy like that coming off of the bench. And I feel like Ham restricted too many players at times. Like even Malik Beasley, I would have played at some point. Like, I mean, you're down a ton of points. You need a guy to.
They let him play in the first round, but after that, he was just
Bamba.
missing.
We didn't even see Bamba. What was that about?
Well, I don't know what happened with
he
him.
Was
like
hurt?
He came back from his ankle sprain, and then he was out again.
Yeah, but they traded him because they wanted an interior defender who could stretch the floor.
Well, Bamba's not
and what were they lacking?
I don't know why they got him.
Bamba? I mean, he blocks shots because he has a 7'8" wingspan, but. I mean, he's decent defensively.
But he's a stretch big.
He's a stretch big, and that I know they're talking the Miles Turner talk. I'm just saying, Cole Swider, I really hope he gets his chance next year because Max Christie's going to get his chance, and I think that's pivotal. His perimeter defense excelled in for the South Bay Lakers, and his scoring as the season went on. And I was high on Max Christie when they drafted him. I thought that was an excellent pick. He's going to have a bigger role, right? You're going to most of their money. They're $38 million under the luxury tax threshold. Most of their money is going to go to Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves. Let's get that out of the way. They're going to have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception because before they match those contracts, they're going to be under the luxury tax threshold, which means they could give a $12 million to a Bruce Brown or a Naz Reid, which would obviously raise their ceiling tremendously. And then the rest of the work would have to be vet mins, in sign and trades.
But as long as you have your core, like I don't think that's such an issue. Like you can always fill out around the edges, but you gotta establish.
And by the way,
the core.
The only way I'm giving up that 17th pick is if we're giving it D'Angelo Russell and the 17th pick for Tyler or someone like that. I mean, for Fred VanVleet, I'm not giving the 17th pick. He's a clutch guy. He wants to come here anyways. Trade. The Raptors are going to have to give him to the Lakers for a sign and trade for Russell to just so they get something in return for him, right? Because he's going to leave.
I'm sure Fred VanVleet would do that.
And I think by the way, moxie, toughness, defense, and three-point shooting.
Fits that team. He had an off year.
He fits the Heat, but he's going to be on the Lakers.
Yeah.
And what do the Lakers need? more of that moxie, less stardom guys. I mean, he built himself from nothing. First undrafted all-star in NBA history, by the way. I mean, this is a guy, Clutch Sports. I think him and Gary Trent.
He's a what
about
NBA
him?
Champion.
What about him and Gary Trent? Do you think they could afford both? One with the taxpayer MLE.
Well, then I don't.
Non-taxpayer MLE.
For $12 million, like.
No, you don't give Gary Trent. You think he deserves $12 million?
Yeah.
I mean, he had a bad end of the year.
Yeah, but for what he is and what we've seen.
I mean, he's 3-and-D.
Right. That's.
I mean, I think he fits in perfectly. Okay, what happens if you do this? Let's play this out. Like we're Rob Pelinka. Okay, you sign and trade D'Angelo Russell for Fred VanVleet. That fills your point guard role. You re-sign Rui and Reeves. Right? Reeves is he's gonna get $100 million almost because some team's gonna
somebody's gonna throw it at him.
Yeah, because strategy. They know the Lakers are gonna match. They're gonna do the same thing with Rui. He'll get like $20 million, and their Lakers are gonna be like, well,
Rui's
is he
gonna
worth
get $20 million?
Close.
You think Rui's gonna get $20 million?
Because they know they got the Lakers by the whats. Yeah.
Ooh, that's right.
That's a strategy move. That's a strategy move.
I feel like the Spurs are going to offer them both.
Yes.
I think they are.
Yes.
The Spurs hate
because
the
even
Lakers.
if the
Let's
Lakers,
get that straight.
Wait.
The Spurs hate the Lakers. Pop hates the Lakers.
Wait. They suck anyways, right? So not for long, but they will next year. Let's be real.
While we were away, they're going to get Victor Wembanyama.
I know, which is great for them. A great organization, great for basketball that he's able to go to the Spurs because that's great. But that's a whole separate story. They don't care if the Lakers don't match a $20 million for Rui because they have the money. They have like $100 million before they're in the luxury tax.
They have a lot of salary.
So like if they get Rui Hachimura, okay, cool, we'll flip him at the deadline.
I just don't even think Rui's a good fit for them.
No, but it's a power move to go against the Lakers.
Right.
You got to think what these other GMs are thinking. They're going to give
done it
Reeves.
Before.
Oh yeah. What about the Chandler Parsons situation or DeAndre Ayton with the Pacers? They're giving $110 million, and now the Suns.
Bad deal that is.
Well, thank gosh for us because we don't like the Suns, and now they're screwed unless they trade Ayton for Poole, and that's a whole separate. I mean,
what does that get you? What does that get you?
Well, that's only who else are you gonna move Ayton for? He's been terrible.
Exactly. Who are you going to move?
Who else are you going to move Poole for? I mean, that's like the only two guys. I mean, I feel like Aiden could be kind of nice for the Warriors.
I thought he would be great for Indiana, and then the Suns.
Well, he would have. I think the Suns are just a bad fit for him. I guess whatever.
I don't know.
Back to the point. Okay, Fred VanVleet, and then you give them taxpayer. Okay, there are two options, two avenues. 17th overall pick, you keep and you add a Derek Whitehead, Amari Bailey, Jet Howard, Kobe Bufkin, a guy who can shoot.
Okay.
And then you sign Naz Reid with the full taxpayer MLE as another big. Or you draft Derek Lively if he's there, who's a clutch sports guy, by the way. And that just makes so much
Bailey
sense.
Too, or no?
No, I don't believe so. Perhaps. I don't know. I mean, we can look it up, but they change their agents all the time, by the way, too. But Derek Lively, 2.4 block shots per game at Duke. He made 19 corner threes in a row at his Clutch Sports
Pro Day.
So
you think they should go for a big, the Lakers?
Well, because then with the taxpayer MLE, you have Bruce Brown, Gary Trent Jr. Would they be willing to sign for those? Then you add another shooter. If you don't think Cole Swider and Max Christie are ready, you have Gary Trent Jr. come in, who's a proven 3-and-D. I mean, he's 37% from three almost every year. Lock it in. Yeah. And 2 steals a game. Great on-ball defender, high IQ, and he's a dog too, just like Fred VanVleet. Do you bring those two guys in who have chemistry with each other and build around Rui, Reeves? I mean, look at the roster right there if you do that. If it's him or Bruce Brown, I don't care who. One of them you could get probably with the MLE, and Bruce Brown may demand even more money right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he's going to go for as much as possible. But either way,
think about it like this. You start Reeves, VanVleet, LeBron, Davis, and do you want to play Davis at the 4 or the 5?
I'd rather play him at the 4 just like they had him in 2020.
Okay, so you
got to get a big.
So you got to play Lively, the rookie, at the 5. Or somebody else who they sign. Naz Reid, one of the two. And then off the bench, you would have Rui.
But I don't think Naz Reid is that present. Like, you need a defensive presence. You can't.
Okay,
like, Naz Reid is an excellent offensive player.
So let me go. Let's go through another situation. The Windhorse meme, right? Okay, Miles Turner. They've been linked to him in the past, and they could 100. Hold on, who cares? They could 100% trade the 17th overall pick and D'Angelo Russell for Miles Turner.
Oh, do you think Indiana would take that?
They don't need Miles Turner.
Why not?
They're kind of rebuilding. I know their owner wants to pretend to compete, but toward the end of the year,
draft a big with that 17th.
Yes, there are going to be so many good players.
But I feel like this year they're going to try to go for like.
No. Here's what they're going to do. No. Watch what they're going to do. If they do trade Miles Turner to the Lakers for, let's just say, perhaps D'Angelo Russell, who they'll buy out.
Yeah.
Probably buy out. I mean, he might fit as a back, but they have Halliburton. They don't need him. And Healed. Think about it like this. Turner to the Lakers. They get that 17th overall pick. By the way, they already have 2 other first-round picks. One from the Celtics. Maybe 3. Look that up because they have their top 7, their 7th overall pick. They
by Indiana?
Yeah, they definitely have their 26th from the Celtics or 28th overall pick. And they might even have, they don't have who has the Clippers pick?
The Bucks.
How did they get that?
I think it was routed in that Rockets deal.
Oh, because the Rockets, because you gave it for Eric Gordon, right? Not Eric Gordon. Who did you give that pick for?
Yes, we did.
And Kennard?
Yes.
Oh, God. That. No offense to Lawrence Frank, that could get him fired right there.
Bob Myers coming to Papa, baby.
I mean, I like Lawrence Frank, but, I don't want any bad blood, but that was a terrible move. No offense. I hope Lawrence Frank never hears this if we ever want to work for the Clippers. If we ever want to work in the Clippers front office or wherever he works.
Listen, I am gonna give it to you as straight as an arrow.
Oh, if we have an interview with Lawrence Frank for a position wherever he is in a few years. Oh, my God.
The Pacers have...
So they have 7.
They have 1 from Cleveland.
What pick is that?
Shoot, doesn't even have the number. But I'll just tell you who they're from.
It's like 24.
There's 1 that they have their own. Then they have 1 from Boston in the Brogdon trade. They have the 1 from Houston. They have 2 second-rounders from Houston and Cleveland as well.
So they could package 17 and a couple of those picks after trading Turner and trade up for another lottery pick.
Or trade up for Jaylen Brown.
They're not going to get Jaylen Brown.
Why not?
The Celtics aren't going to move him for draft picks. They want to contend.
Siakam?
If they're going to – but why would Indiana do that? They trying to compete?
Not? Yeah, that's one. I mean, they remember the first half. They were like pretty good actually.
Yeah, it's because they were beating the Lakers because the Lakers had like a bunch of bums out there.
Yeah, but they're
Davis
still
and
highly competitive. I think they're going to try to go.
Okay, but I'm just saying that's another avenue. You're talking about a guy that's a stretch player who can hit threes really well and block shots alongside Davis. And I know there's been executives in the Lakers front office that are skeptical of the fit in the postseason. But wasn't that exactly the guy they needed against the Nuggets?
Yes.
All right, so that's another avenue. But then you don't keep the 17th overall pick, and you have to just rely on Max Christie or Cole Swider to step up.
So it just depends on which avenue they want. Do they want to build for a future? Do they want to build for a win now?
Well, I think they can do both with the same thing. They need to bridge the gap and develop younger players that can contribute to winning now. I think Derek Lively could contribute to winning now. If you want an older guy, remember, the Lakers have a second-round pick. They could take Julian Strother if he's still there from Gonzaga, knockdown three-point shooter, Brandon Podziemski, who may go in the first round. I mean, he's Luke Kennard plus. Basically, Luke Kennard with just extra shot creation and some defense. Like, he's the best shooter in the draft. But again, I mean, there are guys they can add. And Jet Howard's basically like a discount Klay Thompson. He's a catch-and-shoot threat, a little more athletic. Like, that's Juwan Howard's son, by the way, from Michigan. There's so many avenues the Lakers can do to improve. Like, for me, I expect them, if they retain Rui, if they retain Reeves, obviously LeBron's going to play this year, and Davis hopefully stays healthy. And whether you keep the 17th pick or not, whoever they get with their non-taxpayer MLE and a couple of veteran minimums, I like them even in a talented West if they play together to get 50-plus wins next year. I really think it should happen. And I know, perhaps this was their last chance to win a championship, perhaps. But I think this is the LeBron going out year. He's going to give it his all. It's going to be title or bust for the Lakers next year, and that's going to be the last season they can possibly win. They're not going to win with LeBron at 40. As good as he may be at 40, they have to get it done while he's still in his 30s. I'm sorry. They have to get it done, and he's already going to be taking a lesser role like he did in the postseason.
He should. I think he should play like.
But the thing is, can you rely on Davis to be the number one guy every night? Like, okay, you're going to have to go from Reeves to Rui to Davis, like they've been
doing.
Well,
they were good without LeBron.
Yeah,
Remember that second half of the year?
Yeah, they were great.
They're actually really good.
Reeves is better than people think, dude. Like, I don't think he's like a star. Like, I don't think people realize that. They're, he's 25. He's the same. Yeah, well, sometimes it takes guys longer to develop. Caleb Martin's 27,
Fred
right?
Van Fleet was 20 whatever when he got in the league.
I don't care. If you can play basketball, I don't care about your age. Give me 4 or 5 years of greatness. I don't care about your age. You know?
Yeah,
and Reeves is like 10, 15 more years left. He's 25, dude.
If you can ball, you can ball. Jason Tatum's been in the league for 6 years, and he's
he has
25.
zero
rings. Reeves has 0 rings, too, so relax.
I know. Okay. Tatum's a whole. That guy's a Laker in a couple years if he doesn't win. 100%. 100%. Like, lock it in. I wouldn't bet my life because I'm like 95% sure if he doesn't win a ring in Boston in the next couple of years, Jason Tatum will be a Los Angeles Laker when he hits free agency. Almost 100%. Almost 100%.
Okay.
He is obsessed with Kobe. Are you kidding? He wants to be that next successor.
I could say
he's going to be like LeBron won 1 or whatever, at the end of his. I want to win 3 with the Lakers and be like Kobe. Kobe won 5, obviously, with the Lakers, but you know what I'm saying.
All right, last thing about the Lakers, because I got to ask this, because everybody wants to know this. Do you want Kyrie?
No. No.
I knew that answer.
I don't care because that's going to mean going substantially over the luxury tax for him to take a discount, or if he doesn't take, of course, but if he doesn't take a substantial decrease in salary, they're going to lose Rui or Reeves.
How substantial? I mean,
okay, it's not going to be that substantial, but they can't pay him a max. They can pay him like $28 million or $30 million, like what D'Angelo Russell was getting paid.
He's not going to do that.
Okay, exactly. So it's not feasible. It's not Fred VanVleet is feasible.
Okay.
It's a $20 million a year guy they need, and they can allocate money elsewhere.
Okay.
Because you're going to be paying Reeves $15 million.
On that same trade, whatever, do you think Jaylen Brown stays, or do you think he goes?
Are you asking what I would do as a GM or what I think?
What do you think? Okay, we'll do both. What do you think's going to happen, and then what do you think they should do?
Well, I think they should trade Jaylen Brown. I don't think he's worth being the highest paid player in basketball, as good as he is on both ends of the floor. He had 8 turnovers in an elimination game. By the way, you said this, 15 points per game in elimination games, less than 40% from the floor, right?
Yes.
I mean, terrible in big games. And we get how talented he is. If it was $40 million a year, $45 million a year, I mean, you could make that happen. It's not great, but you could 60, like highest paid player in history.
That's crazy.
I mean, someone's going to eclipse him,
right.
Whether it's his teammate or Jason Tatum, or whether it's somebody's going to hit free agency at the right time when contracts go up and is going to eclipse him. 66 million. I mean, you are going to be hard capped for years. You're basically saying we got to win a championship in the next couple. Before Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, because you won't be able to pay them after their contracts are up. I know they have a few more years, but you won't be able to pay them in a couple of years if you're paying Brown $66 million, and then Tatum's probably going to make $70 million at some point if he even re-signs with them. I would trade him for a guy like Damian Lillard. I think Portland would. If you're Portland, are you telling me you're not going to accept Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard with your young core? You keep your young core. You keep the 3rd overall pick, okay? And you take Jaylen Brown basically for Damian Lillard. I would do it. And then the Celtics, what did they lack against the Heat? What did they lack? You're telling me Damian Lillard couldn't get you 40 points in a Game 7. He would have gotten 50.
Oh, yeah.
He's a gamer.
He's a gamer.
I don't care what people say about his age. I know he's going to make close to $60 million too, just like Jaylen Brown. But that's a guy, instant offense. The Celtics can hide him defensively enough. Right. I mean, that is the guy.
The Celtics team now,
if they want to win they're not winning a championship with this team, probably. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe they can do it because they have enough experience.
Well, we've had this core for how long now, and they haven't won anything?
I know, and a lot of people would say, oh, they're still young, and I get that. No. And yes, they could win. But I'm saying the chances of them winning are substantially higher if you literally swap Jaylen Brown and Damian Lillard over the next couple of years. Now, perhaps not in 4 or 5 years, but at least in the next couple of years while Damian Lillard is still at the end of his prime. And by the way, he's not going to be washed. He came back from a serious injury and averaged 33, 34 points per game. He's 32. He has at least 3 or 4 amazing years left, at least. By the way, talent-wise, an all-time great.
If you can shoot like that, you have a place in the league and you're going to be good.
Well, he's the second best shooter in basketball now,
I understand if you can't create your own shot, if you can't do this. But this dude is pulling up from half court, and Celtics fans are going to say you don't want that?
50
After what you just saw in Game 7, you don't want Damian Lillard? Are you kidding me?
He's a dog. He is a guy that will not.
Say what you want about defense. Jaylen Brown didn't even play defense. No. So what's the point?
No. And Jaylen Brown doesn't have that killer instinct. Lillard does. I know he's been on losing teams.
Jaylen Brown does, but Damian Lillard has it all the time.
All the time. I mean, he single-handedly beat that.
I'm not saying Damian Lillard's the best thing ever.
No,
but
with the lackluster Portland team, he kicked out Paul George and Russ when they were great. He kicked out a bunch of great teams. He made the West Finals once with McCollum.
I know.
I mean, like
against Jokic.
Yes.
To get to the conference finals.
Yes. And how impressive was that? We don't talk about that enough, by the way. He got to the Final Four with McCollum as his second best player. That's impressive. To me, if I'm the Celtics, I'm calling Portland up. And this is assuming they do it. Right. If I'm Portland, of course you do that trade. Yeah. You're not winning with Damian Lillard. No. You get Brown for 6 years. You give him his contract extension, which would be less unless he signs the Supermax and then trades.
Sharp and all these. You're going to get a draft pick this year.
Brandon Miller and learns under Jaylen Brown. I mean, like, you can't think of anything better. A lot of people are saying that's a comp to him, like they're very similar players. I think, like, to me, that's the move. I don't think Trae Young. Okay, so let me tell you this. If you're the Boston Celtics, I'm going to give you a list of 4 players, rank them. Would you rather have Jaylen Brown or Damian Lillard? Say it first.
Damian Lillard.
Okay. Because obviously shot making, tenacity, moxie, he's got everything.
Current offensive team.
Exactly. Okay. Jaylen Brown or Trae Young?
Jaylen Brown. I'm not a Trae Young guy. Like I understand what he's capable of doing on the offensive end, but I just think that Jaylen Brown brings more to the table defensively than Trae Young will. I know Damian Lillard's not a good defender either, but Trae Young goes through lulls too, just like Jaylen Brown. Like, he'll be inefficient as hell sometimes. Like, Trae Young's not at the level that Damian Lillard is in terms of a score. So I like Jaylen Brown better just in terms of
James Harden or Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown, come on.
I had to ask.
Why?
How many?
Why did you have to ask that?
Because it's how many sign and trade guys are we thinking about right now? Who else is a superstar that could be signed and traded for Jaylen Brown? Durant's already been traded. That was the guy they should have traded Brown for. Am I wrong? Jaylen Brown or Kevin Durant on this team?
Kevin Durant.
Okay, why didn't they make that trade? Tell me why.
I understand it because you just went to the finals. Like, you just went to the finals with that core. You're going to run it back.
Dude, Tatum and Durant is unguardable. And when Tatum's having an off night, Durant never really has off nights. Let's be real. His off nights are like 25 points, honestly, 8 of 22.
Good for Brooklyn because they got a better deal in that Suns package.
Yeah, Cam and picks.
Mikal looked like KD.
Basically. Looked like Ingram at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. Brandon Ingram or Jaylen Brown?
Brandon Ingram. Did you see what Brandon Ingram?
So you would trade Jaylen Brown to New Orleans for Brandon Ingram?
Yes.
I'm not saying New Orleans is gonna. Okay, I'm not gonna say
Brandon Ingram's a dog. You know this.
I love Brandon Ingram. I love him.
Did you see what he did to Phoenix in that round 1? Not last year, but the year before that.
Well, what about the last month of the season? He was averaging 32 points per game.
Thank you.
Without Zion, single-handedly leading the Pelicans. By the way, McCollum was terrible.
Long defender.
So if you're Brad Stevens, you're calling up the Pels about Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, but first of all, if I was New Orleans, I wouldn't trade Brandon Ingram.
For Jaylen Brown?
He should be the cornerstone. Trade Zion before you trade Brandon Ingram.
Okay. If you're Jaylen Brown or Zion Williamson in a sign and trade, if you're Boston.
Oh, that's what do
so
you do?
hard.
What do you do?
I think you might. I think you might as well take the risk and trade for Zion because if he's healthy, I feel like that raises the ceiling of the Celtics so much more.
The Celtics fans are gonna hate this.
He's always going to be hurt. Dude, I feel like the Celtics fans will be so mean to him that he might actually stay healthy. Like, he'll be more adamant. I mean, New Orleans fans don't care about basketball as much. Good as their team is.
They have a damn good core.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's football, college baseball before the New Orleans Pelicans. It's sad.
LSU.
But it's LSU's balling. Yeah, like whatever his name is, who throws 100 from the – what's his name? Oh, my gosh. How am I missing? He's like 6'7", pitcher. They have everybody, LSU. But I'm saying that means something. It shouldn't, but it means something more, which is why they're not on Zion like that. They're like, Zion's hurt? Whatever. Oh, we didn't make the playoffs? Whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Celtics would be like,
they're tearing their hair out.
Bro, they would go to Zion's apartment and be like, yo, are you lifting those weights this morning? Or are you eating those cheeseburgers?
Who's your nutritionist?
No, they'll be like, no Carl's Jr. for you. Yeah. If it gets Postmated there, they will literally punch the Postmates guy and take away the Carl's Jr. and be like, don't do that to us, Celtics fans. We want Zion to stay healthy.
I think that's another thing.
They're passionate. Look, say what you want about Celtics fans. I don't like them, but they are passionate fans.
Yeah.
They love their team.
Yeah.
And they'll do anything for their team.
Here's something. What do the Knicks do? Because we didn't really talk about the Knicks because we talked about after.
Yes.
The Knicks are a destination team for a lot of the guys we're talking about. Like, I feel like Karl-Anthony Towns could go there.
I forgot this one. Jaylen Brown for Karl-Anthony Towns. Who says no?
Both.
Both? Wait. Who says no first?
Boston. Boston's not picking up the phone on that.
Okay.
They'll pick up the phone and then they'll just hang it up.
Really? I think it's closer than people think.
How many duds in the playoffs have we seen Karl-Anthony? More than Jaylen Brown, I feel like.
Perhaps, but
not perhaps.
Okay, but Horford is making $10 million next year.
Yeah, but
what bigs do they have that have an offense?
Horford's defense was actually pretty decent.
So is Cat's.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Come on.
Cat is a better defender than people.
He plays like a point guard. He's
on
just
offense.
He's just a taller D'Angelo Russell. That's what Karl-Anthony Towns is.
The disrespect to Cat. Look, I agree. He's soft. Okay, no one's denying that. They call him soft like Charmin Towns for a reason.
The Celtics need a playoff performer. They don't need a guy that's going to get you 28 to 30 in the regular season.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm putting things into perspective. If the Celtics had a center that was a stretch and can shoot 50%,
they do have that. Al Horford's a stretch big.
He can't shoot 40+% from three.
He was close to it though.
Anymore. And Cat's a 25, 30 point per game scorer, and his playmaking's underrated.
You know, he's a
Okay, yeah,
you want to on defense.
Okay, fine. So Randall for Cat, you're saying is more viable? I don't think the Wolves would even pick up the phone if they were offered Randall for Cat. Randall does not contribute. Dude, Cat is so much more talented. Randall literally has no bag, bro. He'll just like one dribble, two dribble, foul. Like, give me a call.
What did I try to tell everybody?
He has no bag.
Nobody listens.
He just
to me when I said
like
that.
he's strong.
Go watch a national TV Julius Randle game, and you'll see what I mean.
But he like literally bangs his way to the rim and like flops for calls or like passes or takes a wild. Every once in a while he'll get hot and look like Michael Jordan from three. Like he'll step back and like
he's
the
not
Miami
a bad
Heat
player,
game.
but he's just not at the level that I think people are putting him at. Like Julius Randle is not at that level. Even Knicks fans are saying like, get this guy out of here, get him the hell out of here. Stephen A. Smith, get him the hell out of here.
But he made an All-NBA third team, and I think that was so disrespectful to Brunson. By the way, Brunson has turned into a player you can build around, build a winner around. He is so good.
Imagine Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson together.
They would have had that if they would have traded R.J. Barrett. They didn't want to trade him. And I think, look, R.J., I think the jury's still out. I think he was good in a lot of big games.
He was.
I don't think Knicks fans are like talking about that enough. Like some games he was putting up like 30, especially in the first round against Cleveland.
He was actually legit.
And in the second round he was fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, he's never going to be a guy that gets you 40 every night. No. But he's a scorer.
He's a great supplementary piece to a championship
I also think
team.
that's on Thibodeau. They don't give him enough of a usage percentage on some nights. Like
they'll switch their coach.
No, I'm not saying that because see, they're in a weird situation. I don't think so because their playoff defense was great, but their season defense was down. And it was a weird scenario because they had a top 6 or 7 offense with Thibodeau as their coach, which kind of tells me if they had an offensive coach, they could be like a 1 or 2, 3 offense in the league. Because look at the shot makers they have on that team.
Pretty good team.
They have shot makers like Quickly off the bench, Grimes off the bench, McBride, who's a great defender, by the way. Josh Hart, well, he's not really a scorer. He's a transition scorer, but he could shoot threes.
Yeah.
Toppin played well. Hardenstein defense. I mean, I'm not saying you switch the coach, but what I'm saying is their ceiling could be higher offensively if you can be the 7th overall offense with Tom Thibodeau as your head coach.
I just don't know.
But look, they're literally one superstar away.
Right.
One
We've said this
superstar
so
away.
many times.
And look, Donovan Mitchell's in the doghouse for people right now with the way he performed in the playoffs this year.
It was a dud.
I mean, he was supposed to be one of the best, like, second coming of Jesus in the postseason, his first 5 postseasons. And the Jazz choked.
Really good.
The narrative was the Jazz choked. And I agree they choked because Gobert choked. Oh, that one was on Donovan Mitchell for the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I know the Cavs didn't have any other shot makers besides Garland and Mitchell, and they need to address that. But he didn't step up in big games, and he was getting locked down, bro. Locked the heck down. But the superstar they could get, they're not going to get Cat for Randall. They're just not. I'm just thinking, who can they get for Randall? Perhaps Tyler Hero, but Bam and Randall are like the same player.
What does that do for you?
Except Bam's better defensively.
Like, what does that do for you?
That's what I'm saying. Who are they going to
really
get? They're over the luxury tax because they're paying Randall so much money.
Harden?
Who's going to take Randall? No, Brunson and Harden. Then they like.
That would ruin their team.
I just don't know who they're going to get. Do they wait for a free agent and just run it back? Like, who are they going to trade for, dude?
I don't know. That's why I say I think they're just going to stay put with their core and run it back. They can't do anything.
I think a good guy to have on their team would be a Jeremy Grant, but I don't think they can afford him. A shot-making forward. They kind of need that because they have Barrett, who's they consider him a small. But let's be real, he's like a shooting guard.
Yeah,
that plays small
forward.
Like he's 6'6". Like he's not. He's not. People say he's 6'8". Like maybe with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist's shoes. You know, remember that when he was 6'3" and had the shoes to make him 6'7" in the second overall pick. That was. I want those shoes. They're like this big. It's like God. those Kanzuri ads you see. Like that. Hey, are you more attractive if you're 6 feet?
Well, that's why they have these people doing these knee surgeries where they put an extra bone in your leg to make you taller.
But I'm just saying, RJ's a shooting guard.
Should do that with Chris Paul.
RJ's a shooting guard. Okay, so let me ask you this.
Wait, no,
ask me this.
I have a question for you. Now that we know, well, we kind of know who's going to where in the draft. Kinda. I can ask you that too. I'll ask you that first. Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson at 2?
Who's going number 2 or who should go number 2?
Who should go number 2?
Scoot. It's not a question.
I agree.
10 times.
But what do you think is going to happen?
Charlotte's
because there's a lot of talk about Brandon Miller going at 2.
Charlotte's a dumb organization. I would not be shocked if they took Brandon Miller at 2. And I'm not saying Brandon Miller's a bad prospect.
I was watching his highlights last night.
He's elite, but but
really
he's great.
Good.
But Scoot is a superstar.
Yes.
Like Scoot and Victor are like top 10 players in the NBA in 5 years.
Yes.
Like
Scoot
Brandon Miller.
Westbrook,
Brandon Miller perhaps could be a discount Paul George. You know, or maybe Paul George. I was
watching
it.
I was like, wow, I'm watching.
He looks exactly like Paul George, and that's great. Top 15, 20 players is prime, right? Perhaps he has an MVP type year.
Portland gets
and I think he's a better fit if you're looking like okay, you want LaMelo to have the ball, Brandon Miller at 2. I do think they're going to take Brandon Miller at 2.
Yeah,
and then Portland or Toronto getting Scoot Henderson. They trade Siakam and
but that's the thing. Like if Brandon Miller goes to 2.
I would not trade the pick.
No, but like the Blazers picking Scoot Henderson doesn't make any sense because then you have like 3 guards.
Well, you're gonna take Amen and then Scoot goes to the Rockets at 4.
Wow, that would be sick.
That's
not happening though. In my opinion, I think Scoot should go number 2, and he's going to go number 2. I like the backcourt duo of LaMelo and Scoot. I think it can work.
It can because LaMelo is a 40+% 3-point shooter now, so he can play off ball. He can play off ball.
People are saying,
Scoot
you can't have 2 guards. It never works.
No,
what are you talking about?
Well, the jury's still out. I think they say that because of Ivy and Cade, but we haven't seen enough of a sample size to see
I'm excited. Okay, that was my second question. Was who's your favorite core out of like the lottery teams from last year's? Because so you have the Spurs, the Hornets, the Rockets, the Thunder.
Well, the Thunder, take them out. Take them out.
Okay.
It's going to be Thunder.
We both know that the Thunder and the Magic are going to be elite teams.
Yeah,
not elite teams, but like.
Well, I like the Thunder much more than the Magic.
Playoff.
I think I like the Thunder much more than the Magic. Magic have more depth. They have more depth. They have like 1 through 9. Like Suggs is their 9th guy, and we don't even know how good Suggs is. Suggs could be really good. Like we don't know. Well, but we don't know. He's young. He's 20. You can't say a 20-year-old's going to be a bum. You know, like except maybe R.J. Hampton or Killian Hayes. But like you know what I mean. So let's take the Thunder out because Jalen Williams, Josh Giddey, Chet Holmgren, and Shea is unfair.
And the other draft pick,
and then the other draft pick, they're going to turn. Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, by the way, Jalen Williams should have in a redraft. Perhaps goes 2 or 3. Like that guy is the truth. Like that's a star to superstar on both ends
with
of the
him
floor.
with Shea. And
I know they're going to be a top 7 seed next year for sure, in my opinion.
And Kenrich Williams is coming back.
In a loaded West, they're getting close to 50 wins next year. I truly believe that.
Close to 50? The Thunder are going to get almost 50?
Chet is that dude, bro. He's that dude.
I have yet to see it. I'm not going to make that assumption yet.
The shot making, he's a discount Wembanyama. Super discounted. Like he's like Wembanyama.
That says a lot about the Spurs.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. So
who's your favorite core besides? Because let's just take the Thunder and the Magic out because we know
before the draft, like right now, because the Pistons are the odd team out. They're going to get like Cam Whitmore, who's great, but he's not Brandon Miller, Scoot, or Wembanyama. The Pistons, because if you take out the Thunder, I like Cade and Ivy. I think both of them were the best players in the draft in their respective draft at the time. I said Cade is the best player in this draft. Ivy's the best player in last year's draft. And I'm not ready to say Jalen Williams is or Paolo Banchero yet because Ivy's young. And by the way, the last month of the season, he averaged 23, 7, and 4 as a lead guard. Now, the jury's still out whether he can play off ball because he's really good with the ball in his hands, and so is Cade. And you can't take Cade off ball because Cade is like Luka is like a more athletic Luka Doncic with the ball, the way he's able to get guys open and his shot creation. I think Cade Cunningham's going to be still a top 10 player in basketball. I truly believe that. And I think people are like forgetting, like just because he got hurt, like the last month of his rookie season, he was so bad the first 5 months of his rookie season. The last 2 months, remember I said I might put a futures on Cade to win rookie of the year. He almost won after like for 1 month where he was averaging like 24, 8 and 8 with like 2+ steals per game. He had that one game where he had 32 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 5 steals. Like only player to do that since Michael Jordan. And by the way, two-way superstar Cade Cunningham.
Yes.
Not just an offensive player. He's an elite defender. Elite. I don't think people realize in his IQ beyond his years. I think if you're looking at a guy that can impact winning on offense, or both ends of the floor, but offense specifically, like that next Luka or Jokic or that's Cade. The IQ to really make everybody better.
Who do you think they take at 5?
I think who they're going to take or who they should.
Who are they going to take?
Cam Whitmore.
Okay.
I think they take Cam Whitmore because he fits. They traded Sadiq Bey. He's basically a bigger Sadiq Bey. Gets to the rim. I mean, like, and he has upside. He's 18. He's a big boy. He can get to the rim. He could play really well because of his getting to the rim skills. His shooting's a little raw, but I think he fits perfectly with like Cade and Ivy. I don't hate it. I would take Taylor Hendricks from UCF because he's like a guy, a 4 you could play at the 3. He's Trey Murphy 2.0. I mean, he's basically Trey or a discount Mikal Bridges. This is a guy who shot 43% from 3 at UCF his freshman season, and he's a 7'3" wingspan and can defend multiple positions and block shots at an elite level. And he has secondary scoring. So you put him with Cade, he's going to be this year's Jalen Williams, where he'll fall and people are going to be like, halfway through next season, they're going to be like, dude, Taylor Hendricks is like that dude.
I think it's going to be more about fit with the Pistons.
Well, I think he fits too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like, people are going to like say, oh, well, the Pistons got number 5. Who cares? But people are really going to have that kind of statement, like you said, about and the Pistons
hire Monty Williams.
Just hired Monty Williams. That is an excellent hire. That I was going to put them like 3rd or 4th.
Pistons over wins, 35 wins next year.
Excellent hire. One of their best moves that they've made.
Ever. Shout out to Troy Weaver. Isn't he still the GM? Yeah. I was really skeptical of him his first couple of years.
That's crazy. We got breaking news.
Breaking news right here. I mean, you won't hear this.
One last thing before we go. I know we're running out of time. Victor Wembanyama and that Spurs core. How do you think it goes next year?
I think it's going to be worse than people think, if it makes sense, because I still think they're
me
so
too.
bad.
I think
besides
they're good,
Wembanyama.
but not good.
No, not
like I just
like to me. Keldon Johnson is a ball hog, and he doesn't contribute to winning. So they should trade him.
His first year was great. And then,
no, he's good. Yeah, he's like Kyle Kuzma. Like put him on a team to get empty stats, and he'll get like 20+ points per game and play some defense.
Devin Vassell.
Vassell is a player that can contribute to winning in playoff ball because of his increase in 3-point shooting and his size and versatility.
Mid-range masters and Kawhi.
I would have loved to see him keep Lonnie Walker. I think Lonnie Walker would have played well alongside Wembanyama. Sohan's a great defender. Wemby. I think it's just going to be about like, dude, they're just going to give like Trey Jones is really good too.
Yeah.
He played really well. I think they have some good players. I don't think it contributes to winning right away. Like I think Wemby's going to get those stats where they're just going to feed him the ball. It's going to be a development year for him. He'll average like 22 a game because of his usage. 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, win Rookie of the Year. And then that following year, I think, is when they make that jump to the playoff team. Because right away, it's going to be tough, dude. It's going to be like LeBron's first year in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like, they're so bad, like, as a team.
But he just made them, like, a little bit more elevated, you know what I mean? Like,
Mike just dropped thinking about Wembanyama on the Spurs.
The mic dropped.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, for me, I think the Spurs, like, everyone's saying, oh, they're going to compete now. They're going to be good now. No, let's relax a little bit. They're going to be better, but they're not going to be
By the way, 6 years, $72 million for Monty Williams.
Oh, my God. Good job, Pistons.
Wow.
I'm surprised he
Rockets, too. Rockets got Ime. That was a great hire, too. These young core is making some good hires.
I love the Rockets' young core, especially with Sengun. I think he's going to take another step. You know, Sengun is my guy. They're going to get a good draft pick, probably Amen Thompson. Do you think they'll get Amen Thompson, Houston?
Yes, that's who they're going to pick up for.
I think that's a good pickup, too. They're going to have a really good team.
Amen Thompson has Ja Morant's athleticism.
They're going to have a good team.
They're going to be very athletic. I don't know if it'll translate to winning because Sengun can't still guard a parked car. Adoka will teach them defense.
That's what I'm
Jabari,
saying.
The guy who's going to take the leap is Smith. Smith will take the huge leap.
Yes.
Because Ime
is
going to, and he's a great defender. He's one of the only good in Eason. Those two guys. Ime's gonna
look at all these names we're naming. Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. We didn't even mention them.
No, because those guys play offense, and Ime, I like them. But Ime's 2 favorite guys are going to be Eason and Smith, because those are the guys that can do the Udoka Celtics scheme, like Robert Williams type stuff, or
he's poaching all
positional
the Celtics coaches,
versatility.
Which may not be a good thing. But
Green might even play defense. Wouldn't that be a scary sight?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, Green's going to average 25 plus points per game next year. No.
Yes, I love the Rockets'
his shot
core.
making's insane.
I love the Rockets' core.
Porter, I feel like Porter's an empty stats guy, though. Like, he's good, but, I don't think he can contribute to winning.
I think they'll move him.
They have to for Amon to play, right?
I think they'll move him.
He's the only person who showed up at Udoka's press conference.
I know. Well, who cares? Happens like Russell Westbrook. Patrick Beverly showed up to Russell Westbrook's conference, or vice versa, whatever it was. They both got traded.
Either way, a lot of great things happening in the NBA. We'll be back next week. Until then, this is Baller Sports Dialogue presented by the Sporting Tribune. Your co-host, Brandon Deutsch and Graham Mona. Thank you guys for listening.